Hello and welcome back, viewer. If you're just joining us, you're watching GBS Morning Extra, and today we are going to discuss political matters. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to look into women politics and also their leadership in the country. Women are currently playing a very vital role in terms of the Kenyan politics, and this is something that cannot be ignored. We are going to look into that. We're also going to talk a little bit on the tragedy that took place in Likoni 8 days ago, and it's quite unfortunate that the families are still grieving, and nothing is really forthcoming, despite there being a multi-agency team that was formed this Monday. We hope that this recovery mission will actually come to a close so that the family also can be able to mourn and come to a closure on these things. But then we start with first things, politics. Today with me in studio, I'm joined by Catherine Kanana, who is a political analyst and a politician herself. And also we have Gideon Kingoina. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Let's start with the lady, Catherine. The current political situation in the country, and ODM now planning a protest today. They'll be in town at the Anniversary Towers complaining about they not being able to access, despite several attempts, sending official letters, almost 3 letters, being unable to access the updated voter register in Kibra County. What do you make of this? Is this just an allegation that they're making, that they're suspecting rigging in the Kibra by-election, or are they just playing politics?
Good morning, viewers. Thank you for inviting me here today.
Karibu sana.
What I can talk about Kibra politics is that there are 2 giants there, Jubilee and ODM. And either one is nearing defeat. And what I can say about ODM joined the government, and they're in the government now. I think instead of marching to Anniversary Towers, they can just talk to Chebukati, because we don't have that energy to demonstrate on the streets, because Baba and Uhuru have a handshake.
But they're charged, and they say that they've made several attempts. I think we have a bite that maybe we can play a little bit later on the party officials, the electoral official for ODM, Mr. Junet Mohammed, saying that they've made several attempts. They've sent letters to the IEBC 3 times through their lawyers and also through the party, and nothing is forthcoming. So they decide to go there and find out for themselves what is going on.
Okay, we have to wait and see what will happen if they're going to march today, because as I think as a person, when Raila went for the handshake, he went alone, and so many people felt that they were left out. So there's a lot of mingling in between. It's only that people are not talking. But now let's see who is going to come out to accompany Junet and the group to go to the IBC. If people have the same youths to do demonstrations. Yeah.
Before you come to you, Gideon, I'm being informed that the video is ready. Let's just listen into these comments by Junet Mohammed and John Badi, who is the party chairman, and listen into what they have to say.
Members of the media, I have the copies of the letters that we have written to IEBC. This is a letter we have written to IEBC on 20th of September 2019 to one Mr. Wafula Chebukati. This letter was written by Mr. Odworo Ngwen, asking for the register of the Kibra constituency. Having gotten no response, on 20th again of September, we wrote another letter, again by Odworo Ngwen, asking for the same register. No response. The same 20th, 2 letters were written, one to Wafula Chebukati and one to the IBC offices. As I said in my statement, it's much later that we got a response from the CEO asking us to pay. After our lawyers, Rachir and Omolo, have written to them, is when we got a response, and they said we pay 15,000 shillings to get the register. And we paid the 15,000 fees, and this is the receipt that we were issued with. I have a copy of the receipt here, and that was on 3rd of October. And today is which date? 9th or 8th. A whole week we have gotten no response. And I'm aware the plans that they have.
Well, What plans they have, we don't know, but what do you make of this, Gideon?
What I can say is that Junet Mohammed and John Madi yesterday, when they were issuing the press conference at Parliament, it was politics in play. Why do I say it is politics in play? You can see that the ground in Kibra is shifting. You can see that the Jubilee has now, it has been unheard of that the Jubilee for a while has not been campaigning in Kibra. Now that they have discovered inroads in Kibra, and the reception, you can see the kind of meetings that are being held both in Kibra and in Karen. So Junet Mohammed and his team are justified when they are requesting for the register. But again, Kibra has been an ODM stronghold, and the MP, the late Ken Okot, was an ODM member of parliament. So they should not be anxious at this moment. Let them be patient, and if they are the best at the ground, they're going to win. But the issue of demonstrations, I don't think it's going to be a successful event today.
But then, I mean, picketing and demonstration, peaceful demonstration, is a constitutional right. And they say they've sent their grievances to the IEBC, nothing is forthcoming. They've been asked to pay to receive the register, nothing is forthcoming. Actually, when you listen, I think if you listen to the audio, to the video, much further, you realize that they've gotten several responses, like the list is still being updated, and then there was this question of, how do you still update a 2017 register?
Yeah,
I mean,
the IEBC, as the commissioners who are remaining in office are just three. You know that the former CEO Chiloba is out. It is Marjan who is in office.
But we're just talking about updating a voter register.
How do you update a voter register, and yet there is no ongoing registration that is going on?
Exactly, and that's what ODM is asking.
That is what is ODM is asking.
The question is, why don't the IEBC just produce the document and say, here it is?
You know, IEBC, for a while, you know that the ODM has been having issues with the IEBC, and you know that there is no peaceful demonstration that has ever come out of ODM. You saw what was happening in the run-up to the election, and even after the election of 2017, there were demonstrations all over in Nairobi. Nairobi was a go zone.
I don't know about that. Maybe that's your take, because we've seen situations where people are protesting and police fire tear gas, then it turns violent. Then we cannot claim that that is unpeaceful. Maybe Kanana, if you can, I see you're eager. You want to say something on this.
What I can say, after 2017 elections, ODM had a very big issue with the IEBC,
yes,
of which they would have, what they would have done reforms in the IEBC, and to put some rules which could guide everybody. But now, you know, they are silent. When they have elections in Kibera, this is when they are waking up, when it is too late. But they would have fixed the problem immediately after the 2017 elections.
Isn't that what,
because they
among the 9 points that they had in the BBI, which is still being worked on, the handshake? Because that was also the issue of electoral reforms.
I think ODM should have been a bit wise. They would have waited for the report from the BBI to come out, so that the 9-point agenda which were laid out, so that the reforms in the IBC are among what is being recommended. So Junet Mohammed and Badi should guide their team on how they should wait for the report to come out.
But in the meantime, as the by-elections are happening, let's just be frank. If I see something wrong, yes, there is plans that have been set in place to try and rectify the electoral malfunction and everything that has been witnessed in the IEBC. But in the meantime, should we just sit and say, okay, let everything go by because we are planning to have, you know, the BBI which will come and do the electoral reforms? Should they? Are you suggesting they?
No, I'm not suggesting that. What I'm trying to say is that from the part of the IBC, let them provide the ODM with the updated voter register to ensure that we have an election which is credible, which is accountable, and which is free and fair, so that we do not bring the issue of an election which has been stolen or an election which has been tampered with. Let them provide the register to the ODM.
But what would justify the IBC not giving out the register?
You know, in Kibra, ODM nominations and a very big problem. Names were missing, people were not getting their names alphabetically. It was a sham itself. And even Raida was not happy about it. And now, you know, 2017, what happened exactly? They were talking of, you don't know what, it has not been opened. So many things happened in 2017.
Sure.
And now, you know, when you're bitten by a snake, when you see anything passing or looking
you
like
see a
snake,
rope, you think it's a snake.
you think it's a snake. So ODM are very much alert on what happened in 2017, and the person who did whatever they did in 2017 is still in Kibra now. So there are two giants fighting there, and also there is an ANC candidate,
yeah,
who
Mr. Walo.
Mr. Waro. You cannot underrate Mr. Waro in Kibra. Yeah.
So basically, your take is that ODM is in panic or what?
Somehow, yeah.
Somehow, yes.
Yeah, they're in panic because all this noise band is making and for the party and the register. But I think IBC should give the ODM what they're asking for.
Sure.
To be transparent and honest. Yeah.
Because
so that
talking of updating a 2017 register up to now, I mean, this is something that is already in the system. Either give them a soft copy through a portal, or, I mean, it's information that should not even be asked for. Yeah, it is information that any Kenyan citizen,
which you are supposed to Google,
is supposed
and
to
even
get.
me.
Exactly.
You know, I contested there in Roysambu constituency.
Yes.
If I want a register for this, I should Google and get the register of the people who registered in Roysambu.
But why is it not available?
That is another thing now which we should
question
be questioning the IBC. Yeah, because if I want a voter register today, I should Google and get it. Why is all the
why conceal it?
Yeah, why conceal the information which is supposed to be, even a voter should be able to find
the
name.
Verify whether he's there. Because this is we are talking 2017. That is the voter register, and of course there are people registered before the elections.
True.
So the names that had been registered are what were used in the election.
And they should be used even now.
And they should be used
because
even now.
Because we have not registered any other voters.
And if there's any, maybe then we should have an update.
Be able to know.
And if someone goes to the portal, should be able to
find the details.
Now, quite clearly, and that's why I'm asking, and that's why I'm saying, it's somewhat to some extent, I would say ODM is justified in protesting, because if all these avenues that have been provided for in the Constitution, you know, freedom and access to information, that's public information, is denied to a Kenyan, then why not revoke your picketing rights? And I think that's exactly what the ODM party is doing.
Also, in response to what you've said, you saw the issue of Mariga, whereby his candidature was being questioned that he's not a registered voter. You saw the urgency in which the IBC was able to respond to that petition. So the same spirit, let the IBC come out, provide the voters register for Kibra to the ODM, so that we get rid of this noise which is dominating the air.
Sure. And maybe if we move on a little bit, but not very far, we've seen that the ODM politics has actually widened the rift in Jubilee. Right now, we have some Jubilee members, elected members of parliament. Some of them are senators. Some of them are actually nominated MPs and senators, coming out and openly, and even someone in the cabinet coming out clearly and backing the opposition, the opposition candidate.
As we stand, Jubilee Party in the hair, it's very confusing, because I don't know who is where. One, there's the Jubilee is, I think it has divided into 5 groups. There is one, this Tangatanga. There is this Kiereweke. There is Inua Mama. There is Embrace. And now, because of the Kibera by-elections, the groups have also divided again now. Sure. Like if you see Commander is in Jubilee, but he is supporting Kenoko's brother, or Imran. And you see who did Shebesh? I don't know, Shebesh is also supporting him.
Yeah, Shebesh is part of the Embrace.
Jumwa is supporting Mariga, and she's a ODM MP.
Sorry.
Now there's a lot of confusion in Jubilee, because I don't know who is Jubilee, what the other day Commander said. When you see us talking you know who is the Uhuru is talking. So Uhuru is also supporting Imran according to Commander.
According to Commander.
Yes.
And according to Shebesh, because if you listen to Shebesh the other day, she was like, our president has a voice, and why didn't we hear his voice?
See, there's something Shebesh said after Commander said, when you see us talking, it is the president talking. As Shebesh asked the Commander, does the president don't have a mouth to speak for himself to say that he's supporting
I'm told that the
him?
video is available. Let's listen into this bite by Rachel Shebesh, and then we'll come back to this.
Hakuna siku mtaamshwa mapema. Ati kukimbia mahali kumedhoka. Hakuwezi kudhoka.
Kama barabara kufungwa.
Hakuna mahali itakuwa imeharibika because Uhuru anakaa pande Raila na Uhuru anakaa pande na Raila anakaa pande. Kenya hii ile ndoto watu walikuwa naota kwa kichwa hapa nyuma, lakini tulikuwa tunafikia iwezi happen. Ni Uhuru na Raila kuja pamoja. Sisi tuna support handshake katika kibra. Na sisi tuko na heshima kubwa na Raila Odinga saa hii, hata tuwezi kuchezea. Kibra, msiende na stories za fake, nenda na story ya true. Nenda na story ya true, muende ground mseme tu roho safi. Sisi handshake hatutoki. Na hatutaki kuharibu any hope ya handshake, and Kibra is the testing.
Now, that's a minister in Uhuru's cabinet. That's a CS in Uhuru's cabinet, and openly endorsing an opposition leader.
You know, as I can, like Madam said, yeah, we have confusion in Jubilee. But let us start it from this point. Divisions in Jubilee emerged right after the handshake, whereby some parties felt that they were not included in the handshake. And the people were supporting the ODM.
Which parties, to be more precise? We had only two parties.
We had two parties.
We had ODM and we had the Jubilee party.
But you know, during the run-up to the election, Raila Odinga participated in an election competing against Uhuru Kenyatta. Yes. He had co-principals in a coalition.
That was a coalition.
That was a coalition.
Had individual parties.
Which had individual
Whereas
parties.
Jubilee dissolved all parties and brought everyone on board to have one party. Yes.
So what I would like to say is that Jubilee has divisions in between, and the divisions also emerged after the nominations of Jubilee, whereby some candidates felt that they had been shortchanged. And you can even tell from the people who are supporting Imran Okoth in Kibra are the people who lost at nominations in Jubilee. And those people were appointed by the president to be in charge of parastatals, be it chief administrative secretaries. And we are saying that the people who are supporting Mariga in Kibra are the people who are under Deputy President William Ruto. So what we are saying is that the Jubilee Party, yesterday you had, there was an interview whereby Raphael Tuju is the Secretary General of Jubilee. He said that the party position is that their candidate for Kibra is McDonald Mariga.
Of course, you don't expect a Secretary General of a political party to go out there and
tell people that,
hey, I don't support that guy.
What we like say, you remember
that's something obvious.
It was in the same show here, whereby we said that the Secretary General of Jubilee had denied issuing a letter of them participating, which was out there. And you can say that Jubilee, I smell coffee, in that there is politics, which is deep politics, which is being played, that you'll find that Shebesh says this thing, Commander says this thing, the likes of Dennis Waweru say this, and you'll also find that at the end you find that the president is taking photos. You know, a photo means a thousand words. So we would like to, moving forward,
those words are what we are
really interested in, and a politician will tell you that a person can say something which he really does not mean. So eventually.
So you mean Shebesh does not mean that they are supporting?
No, Shebesh knows. You know, even the director might have footages whereby you find that Shebesh says that Uhuru Kenyatta afanye 10, amalize apatie William Ruto. You've seen those videos.
Political grounds
shift.
Change, and you are the one who said this very clearly, that we have a division, and it's not a secret.
We have divisions. We have divisions, and divisions arose when some people lost their seats. Remember, if you lose at nominations, for example, in Jubilee strongholds, then you have no chances of being elected again.
Do you think the genesis of all this, Kanana, is when people lost their seats, or is did it erupt when the handshake came in? Because it is after the handshake that we find clearly Deputy President William Ruto is not for the handshake. And even though he would want to say it with his own mouth, he's always been critic of Raila Odinga and talking about him invading the party and trying to pull it apart.
As my friend has put it, the problem started after the nominations, because so many people felt that it was the nomination unfair. Even Kabogo has been talking about this openly. He's not been denying it.
Yeah.
So also another problem came now when the handshake came. Part of Jubilee, they felt that they are not part of this handshake. And at the end of the day, we are going to have a very vibrant opposition in Jubilee. And it has already started, it is showing up and it's shaping
the
very
Tagatanga
fast.
team.
Yes.
Now, if we say that, because what I'm trying to look at is that as much as they would want to complain, but then it's very clear that the problem is mostly, we cannot say the problem is only in Jubilee, because even in ODM there are some divisions, and that's why we have people like Owalo vying with a different, from a different party ticket. But then the war within Jubilee is about the handshake. It's about those who are for the handshake and those who are opposed to the handshake. If you listen to the rhetoric, Shebesh talking about tuko kwa handshake na hatutoki. If you listen to Commander, this is a handshake candidate. That's the talk. It's those for the handshake against those against the handshake.
There is even somewhere where Shebesh saying that Mariga went through the kitchen door to see the president, and she has been talking about it openly. That means that it is also put the president in a very awkward situation, because okay, if I ask you a question, where is the president in this scenario? He has not come out clearly, he's still hiding somewhere to say his stand. But because if you send one group to support Imran, the other side there is a Jubilee supporting Mariga, and it is in one constituency. What does that tell you? Then Shebesh is saying Uhuru did not invite Mariga. Mariga was taken through the kitchen door. So if you take somebody through the kitchen door and Uhuru puts a coffee on his end, what does that tell you?
How do you enter State House through the kitchen door? I think yesterday I had the Secretary General, Raphael Tuju, allude to it, that if he knew how to go to State House through the back door, he would really want to use that opportunity. But, let's face it, the president receiving Mariga and capping him, he is the party leader. What does that tell us?
It tells us a lot, because State House, Madam here can tell you that a person, to be able for you to access the gates of even State House, it is a very serious job. And for a party to openly even declare you as their candidate, it is a process. It is a very rigorous process. And for the leadership within Jubilee to have decided that it is Mariga, in politics, people can make decisions, and some decisions can be unpopular, others can be popular. So the dissatisfactions which are appearing from the sections of Jubilee leaders, some of the Jubilee leaders or the nominated members, is a representation of the political landscape in the country, whereby you've even alluded to the fact that even within ODM itself, or the coalition which is NASA, you've seen even candidates, the Ford Kenya fielding a candidate, ANC is fielding a candidate.
But for NASA, I think for NASA, let's divide these issues. NASA is a completely different case from Jubilee.
Yeah.
NASA was a coalition. Yeah. And I think if we have this in record, back right after the elections and during the handshake, when the other core principals failed to turn up for the swearing in of the people's president, Raila Odinga, there was this talk by James Orengo, and he said it clearly out there. He said the documents that they have that brought the coalition together were actually, the coalition was a vehicle to State House. 2017 elections. And after the elections, then there was no other arrangement post the election. Meaning, after the election, then they would now sit down and say, okay, now we are here as parties, we've managed through our vehicle to reach to State House. How do we go about it? And he was there very clearly and said it. And it's something that has been proved even by those people who were making a lot of noise because of the handshake. So that is not a party. So let's put that aside.
But
let's come back to this, that within the Jubilee Party, the actual problem is, and I think this we'll all agree that people do have varying opinion. And even the president himself is an individual, and he also understands politics even better than many Kenyans or many people. And you would agree with me that him, as the party leader, although he's not sure of this candidate that they're fielding, still he just has to endorse. It is his work to endorse as the party leader. So we couldn't expect less from the president.
Yeah.
There's another day the president was talking, and he's saying that he loves his party and he's the party leader, but he has to look on another way as a national leader.
Yes.
So he has to cater for both, as a end of the political party
and also as a head of
the country. Divisions in Jubilee are wide and big. The other day, Governor Kiraito was complaining about Jubilee, and he's a Jubilee governor. He was saying Jubilee, they have launched 130 projects, and none has started. He was even talking of the merger, that if they don't know what is cooking in Jubilee, they don't know what happens in Jubilee as a party, and if it is not working, he can be given his bus back.
It's APK party.
It's APK party. We call it bus. He can be given his bus back. So you can see there are so many division. Is only that many people are not talking, but for Jubilee, there's a lot of division inside that house.
And that speaks volumes. Mandago, we had him. He was talking yesterday, and he was talking about no development is going on these sides, and all the roads that are supposed to be constructed are not going on. But in Kisumu, there's a new port, there's this, there's that. You know, they're making hue and cry about all these things. Is this about the part? Is it about, you know, politics, or is it just development? Because I think for the port in Kisumu, if we are honest to Kenyans, it is not about politics. It is about the development of the region. It is about connecting the coastal region to the inland, that is Kisumu port, to allow for easy transportation of goods to the East African community, and also for receiving, you know, cargo and goods. Yeah. That is business.
That is development.
But then, are we politicking about this? Is this the problem, or is the problem just the handshake that Uhuru agreed to bring in reforms which people thought would block them from getting what they wanted to get? You know,
what we should realize is that during the second term where the president realized that it was going to be very difficult for him to be able to push his development agenda, and so he realized that he needed a legacy, and the legacy that the president wanted was development. That is why he opted to bring in Raila Odinga, so that he would be able to.
That means he had only one person to handle that legacy.
He had one person, and that one person was Raila Odinga. You realize that Raila Odinga received more than 6 million votes, and that is a huge voter
that's
population.
More than almost 50% of the total votes cast.
Yeah, so it was important that the president brought him, and what we'd like to urge the leaders out there is that let them not sense too much of the handshake, let them not be against the handshake, let them embrace what the president said. And you realize the president said that he's a #1 Jubilee supporter, a diehard of Jubilee.
Of course,
and what he wants is that Kenya is big than even a Jubilee party. So let them embrace the handshake, let them put out the politics, and let them, if it comes to 2022, and the president has always said this, let's work fast, and then 2022 we'll be able to play politics.
Okay, now let's take a short break, and then after the break I would like us to look into women and leadership, especially in the political positions that we have in the country, because women, as I mentioned earlier, have played a very vital role in politics, and that's one of the reasons today we have a woman in studio also to tell us what women are doing, because recently there have been cry that the introduction of you know, the things like Punguza Mzigo, most people are actually against it, because they are looking at it as an avenue also to cut down on the gains that were made in terms of trying to create the gender equality and so on and so forth. So we'll take a short break, very short break, and then when we come back we'll discuss that. If you are just joining us, you're watching GBS Morning Extra. Today with me in studio is Catherine Kanana, a political analyst, and Gideon Kingoina, who is also a political analyst. And we've been discussing matters in Kibra, of course, but we take a short break now. When we come back, we'll have more for you.